Have you been feeling drained lately? Overwhelmed? Perhaps feeling burned out? In today's conversation, we're going to get into why keeping toxic family members around you or any friends, people that are not in alignment with your next chapter, how they could actually be keeping you from maybe hitting those 6 figures that you're aiming for, buying that house that is on your vision board, buying that dream car. Keeping these toxic people around you is keeping you stuck. And today I want to share with you some science that is going to back this up, and I'm going to give you some limiting, bursting beliefs that is going to really help you in that journey of letting go of the people that no longer serve you and really tap into that next version of you. So with that, let's get into today's conversation. What's going on, guys? Welcome to our podcast, Walking Manifestator. I am your host, Alexa Peña. And in this podcast, I am on one mission and one mission only, and that is going to help you awaken your truest and highest self. Embrace and embody your true power and help you elevate to a completely new consciousness. A transformational journey with the Walking Manifestator you are born to be. Now, for those that are new to the channel, hi, my name is Alexa. I'm a real estate investor here in El Paso, but I'm also a feminine embodiment coach. And one of the things that I'm very passionate about is teaching other women to become the best version of themselves. The reason for that is because I came from very limiting background situations where I didn't have all the resources. I felt like I was in survival. I was always complaining about all the things that I didn't have in my life. And until I learned the things that I share on this channel, which have been really geared around empowerment, becoming a better version of me, taking accountability, I was stuck. I was stuck for the longest time and I wasn't really growing. I was making $16,000 as a broken single mom, struggling to get by. I remember still going to Sprouts one time, trying to buy my little one some food that was organic because everybody kept talking about how all the food we were eating was bad. At this point, I was like 19. And I looked at my bank account, I had like $200. And I was like still expected to pay like my gas. I was still expected to pay like for groceries. And I still had to make it last for another 2 weeks. This is exactly where I was at. And the version of me that is talking to you right now, that is talking to my old self, is always amazed at how much we can do when we take accountability. When we take accountability of how we can become a better version of ourselves. Because now I am blessed to say that I've grown my real estate business past 7 figures. I am doing the exact same thing that I'm trying to now grow and invest in Walking Manifestator, which is a soon-to-be global movement for women empowerment to help you become the best version of you. But it all starts with us. It all starts with us. And this is why today's conversation is definitely much needed, because I see that a lot of us have this potential, but we're surrounded by the wrong people. And this is not to mean that these people are bad people, right? Because I think that we're always doing as much as our capacity allows us in terms of the knowledge that we have at that time. And what I mean by that is what you don't know, right? So when I look back at my old self, if somebody would have came and talked to me about these things, I would have been like, lady, get out of here. You don't know my struggles. You don't know what it's like. And I would have played the victim. That is what I was used to doing. But I really want to give you some practical tools that have served me in my journey. And you can continue to watch some of our other videos. I have something geared around feminine essence embodiment, helping you unlock your feminine essence, things geared around becoming a better you, tangible tools to really help you in that journey. But today I'm going to also make sure that I share with you, if you stick to the end, a limiting belief bursting workshop. And this is a workshop that I actually did with Tony Robbins. It has been amazing. I literally have my notes here ready to go. So I'm going to start off by reading a paragraph to you from the book Emotional Intelligent Habits by Dr. Travis. And it says, exposure to even a few days of stress compromises the effectiveness of neurons in the hippocampus. Now, this is the important part of the brain that is actually responsible for reasoning and memory, okay? So keep that in mind. Now, weeks of stress cause reversible damage to these neural dendrons, which are like small arms that are part of the brain cells, and they're actually being used to communicate with each other. Months of stress can permanently destroy these neurons. And I want you to take a second to really dissect what that means. This is saying that if we're around environments of high stress and feeling like we're in this environment of survival, and for those of you that don't know what survival is when you're in this mindset of survival of the fittest, meaning it's me or you and it's not going to be me, and you're just worried about getting by. Realistically, you're not worried about what you can learn. You're just worried about going to work, if you have kids, taking care of your kids, and not even being the best mom, like just being like a mediocre parent at best, because you show up and you're really burnt out and you're really not happy because you're really not living your best life. And you're in these survival thoughts that just mean you're going from one day to the next on autopilot. You're not thinking about the things that could really help you in elevating. You're just thinking about how I can put money on my bank account, in my bank account right now, and how I can put food on the table. That is all you're thinking about when you're in survival. And why this is so important and why I am so passionate about mindset development and manifestation. I feel that a lot of people sometimes think that manifestation is something evil. And I will say, like, manifestation is on the Bible, okay? And this is a whole other conversation. I made another video talking about how manifesting is in the Bible. So if you haven't seen that, check it out. But this is really where you take control. You take control of who you are, you take control of who you're becoming, and you stop playing the victim. And when you think about what he said in this book, he's talking about how being in survival can literally affect the memory and the reasoning in the hippocampus, which is responsible for the contribution of everything that we're choosing and everything that we're remembering. I don't know if you can relate to this, but there's certain parts of my life that are completely blacked out. Like the trauma at that time, my body just went into survival and I could not for the life of me remember certain parts of my life. I'm still currently working through that. If I'm completely honest with you, I still have a lot of parts of my life that are still in like a fog, and I'm working through this. This is why I believe that having coaches and mentors that are on the same journey of just becoming a better version of themselves every day is so important, which is why I got inspired to teach other women to get to the point maybe C that I'm in versus the point A that I was in at one point. So I've noticed that one of the biggest things is that when you're in survival, you block out a big part of your life. And that has a lot to do with the people that you have around you. That has a lot to do with the environment that you're in. So I want you to ask yourself, who do you have around you in your life right now? Are those people actually rooting for you? Or are those people doing whatever they can to keep you in the box that they have put you in? Because the moment that, let's say, you go up to your friends and you tell them, hey girl, I'm thinking of starting this new business. Just think about it for a second. Most of us, we're in situations where a lot of the times we are around people that are not interested in growing. So us actually going up to them and telling them, hey, I'm working on self-improvement, I'm working on becoming a better version of myself, it will trigger them. It will trigger something in them, because it's like you're putting a mirror in front of them and showing them that it doesn't matter where you came from, that you are able to choose a new future. And when you talk to these people about what you're planning, your dreams, your aspirations, your goals, they're going to be offended and they're going to look at you like, why are you even trying to do that? Like, do you think you're better than us? Do you think that this life is not good enough? Like, why are you not fulfilled? Why are you always chasing the next thing? And the reason for that is because you're making them uncomfortable. You're making them uncomfortable because they have not owned up to where they're at in their life, or maybe they have owned up, but they don't want to change, because it's much easier to stay in the familiar no than to go into the unfamiliar future. But here's the thing, and this is something that Dr. Joe Dispenza always talks about. The unfamiliar future is where you create. Because think about it. When we were in our hunting and gathering times when we would have to go out and physically hunt and gather our food, right? What would happen is that if we saw this cave, and I've talked about this in this podcast before, in the channel before, but let's say you see a cave, right? And it's dark. And you're like, you know what? My spidey senses are going off here, and I think I shouldn't go in there. But again, because those were different times, chances are you just let it go and you didn't go into the unpredictable future because you didn't want to get eaten. Our brain is over 2,000 years old. Just think about that for a second. So even though as a society we have evolved, our brain is still its primal, primitive mentality thought process. Like it still has the same thought processes that it had back in the day. And why this is important is because if you're not being conscious about the information that you're inputting, the input, then the output is not going to change. And the output is your life. So if you're happy with your life, like look around your life, and if you're genuinely happy, if you're genuinely in a great place, then that's amazing. But if you know that you could do better, like some of you guys are already probably in a good spot, but you just want to get to the next level. Or maybe some of you are like, Alexa, I've seen some of your videos before, they've triggered me before, but I kind of agree with what you're saying, and that's why I keep coming back. This is where you're now becoming conscious of the decisions that you're making. And why this is so important when it comes to your journey of self-development is because until you take ownership, and Carl Jung says this quote that I love, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will forever direct your life and you will call it faith. Like just think about that for a second. All the unconscious programming is always directing our life. All the autopilot from society, from cultural, from religion, from our parents, from upbringing, all of these exterior circumstances and situations are molding the way that we think. And if that doesn't shock you, I honestly don't know what will, because when I first went into the rabbit hole, I was like, wait, like everything that I believe in is not even mine. Like I remember there was a time in my life where I would be the type of person that I said, you know what, if you don't like my attitude, there's a door, I don't care, that's your problem, not my problem. That was the most egoistic type of mentality that I could have because I didn't have any remorse for anybody else but myself. And of course, at that time, once I had my kid. But why this is important is because when you're in a toxic behavior around other people that still have that mindset and are not open to growing and investing in themselves and just reading a book every now and then to see what new information they can program into their brain versus what our parents probably always told us, which were things, at least in my household, maybe your household was different, but I'm sure that every family out there has something that has at one point or another impacted the way that we see the world. But I remember my grandparents would always say, like, money doesn't grow on trees. Like, don't let food go to waste. Like, there isn't enough to go around. Like, money is very tight right now. All of those beliefs around money impacted me for the longest time. And when I teach my students about manifesting, I always tell them, you cannot attract anything that you're not in vibration with, which ties into your habit with your emotional intelligence. When you're in an environment with toxic people that are not trying to become a better version of themselves, that are avoiding the reality of their life, that they're avoiding where they're at, that they're just going out on the weekends and partying and drinking and living it up because they feel like there is, one life and you have to live it and you have to party it up. And you come to those people and you're like, you know what, I'm not judging you, but I'm telling you, like, I'm genuinely not interested in that, which is what happened to me. I didn't want to drink anymore. And when I stopped drinking, everybody would always ask me like, oh, are you okay? Like, why'd you stop drinking? I'd be like, wait, you're asking me why I don't drink when you're the one that's like drunk off your face right now, but what's the problem with me? Got it. Okay. But you see, this is what our society has conditioned us to. It has conditioned us to believe that we need this external thing to help us internally with the validation. And your environment plays such a huge component to this. Just think about it. I remember when I first started dating, I would go out and it would always be like, let's have a drink. Oh, let's have a drink for the jitters and for the nervousness and whatever it is. But in reality, It was me masking the fact that I didn't feel comfortable. So I was taking something to make me feel more relaxed and to be able to show more of myself, like my actual authentic self, and which wasn't really authentic because now I was drunk. And these are the things, when you really pay attention to them, that you start noticing. You're like, oh, this is the reason why I chose the same person that I chose the last time. This is the reason why I'm in the exact same situation that I was in the last time. And this is so crucial when it comes to your journey, because as I mentioned to you, when you're around people that do not want to see you grow because they're afraid of how you're going to leave them behind, they're afraid because of the fact that they're not investing in themselves to become a better version. And because now they're going to project onto you their own insecurities and say things such as what we talked about before, right? You think you're all that, you think you're, better than us, whatever it might be. It's simply insecurities about themselves to really deflect the inadequacy that they feel about them. And this is why I know it triggers a lot of people sometimes when I say, like, you need to be willing to cut out toxic family members. Like, I have a very, very large family, to say the least, and I've cut out, like, I would want to say like 95% of them. And the reason for that is because I don't believe that they're adding anything of value to my life. And some of you might be like, oh, Alexa, that's so ruthless. That's so mean. Here's the thing. I have 2 boys, and whoever I bring around them is going to be somebody that they're going to have an impression of. So let's say, like my grandparents, when I was little, they take me around the drunk uncle, they take me around the scarcity aunt, they take me around the aunt that's talking, smack about all her sisters behind her, closed door when the sister literally just left and brought her food. These are the little things that are being embedded into your subconscious. Whether you realize it or not, whether you like it or not, it is happening. So I have gotten ruthless. I am lethal when it comes to who I am going to allow around my kids. And now, because of that, and because of me working through my internal turmoil, working through my inner healing, my inner child wounds, I have gotten lethal about who I let around me. Why is it that we do such a great job at protecting other people, but we don't do a good job when it comes to protecting ourselves? Like, think about that. Really think about it. We are our biggest asset, yet we don't protect ourselves like such. We let anybody come into our precious real estate, which is our brain, right? They take up space. They give you opinions. They tell you what you should do. They tell you how you should raise your kids. They tell you what you shouldn't be doing that in reality they're not even doing, because they're telling you, oh yeah, you should be going to the gym. But you clearly see that they're not taking their own advice. These are the things that I'm telling you. I know. It used to trigger me, like hearing conversations, like when I hear myself talk, I'm like, wow, your old self would have been looking at you like, who do you think you are? But the truth is that these are the things that have helped me grow. And when I cut out all the toxic family members that didn't serve me, that were not helping me become a better version of myself, that were simply gossiping behind closed doors, and they were going to talk whether you visit them or they were going to talk whether you didn't visit them, I decided to not visit them anymore. I decided to cut myself out of that equation. And I know it can be hard. I know, maybe it's your mom, maybe it's your dad, maybe it's your brother. But here's the reality. You're not doing them any service by being around them. What you want to do is continue to build yourself up and lead by example. I'm not sitting here and say you never have to talk to them, because I've had some toxic family members that are in that 5% that are now back in my life because I chose to let my baggage go and to let go of the internal turmoil that I kept replaying because of all the things that they did or didn't do for me. And when I did that 5% that I actually allow into my circle, I personally want to continue to establish a relationship with them. And this is what you can do for yourself when it comes to relationships with your family, when it comes to relationships with your coworkers, when it comes to relationships with your boyfriend, your husband. And I know that when it comes to like a husband-wife situation, I've been married before and I had to make the decision to leave that marriage because it wasn't healthy for me. And I'm not sitting here and blaming because I did that for a long time of my journey, but I took accountability because I chose that person, which goes back to the point that I was making. You're always going to attract what you're in vibration to. Think about it. Why is it that all the negative Nancys always find a way to get together? Like all the negative Nancys always find a way to hang out and to talk about la tia, el tío, everybody that realistically, they're literally like honey to each other. They're attracting each other because they're in that same frequency. But think about it. When you go and you try to talk about something uplifting with that friend that is a negative Nancy that you haven't seen in a long time, and you try to tell her how, oh, everything is going great. I'm going to the gym. You know what? I started reading this book. I'm seeing this great person. They're looking at you with such envy. And this is why you have to get so lethal with who you allow around you, because they're depleting your energy. They're depleting your life force. You see, and when you're going through this healing journey, it's going to get lonely. Like I will tell that right now. I will tell that to you right now. Off the gate, it can get lonely. But the reason for that is because God is making space for the people that are supposed to be in your life. And I want to share with you 3 questions that you want to ask yourself. These are by Brian Katie. It's the framework that she has to really help you break free from your limiting beliefs, because maybe you have a limiting belief geared around, I just could never leave this person. Like me, when I was first thinking about leaving my first husband, I was just like, you know what? I am not happy. I am in an abusive relationship. I don't feel like I'm being cared for. I don't feel like I am being valued. I need to leave. But then these thoughts would surface around, what are people going to think? Like, oh my gosh, like I can do that. You know, I already have like a family with him. Why would I do this? I should just put up with it. And this is why a lot of women go through physical abuse. This is why a lot of women feel like, oh, physical abuse is like the extreme. But I'm here to say, as somebody that has experienced both, all 3 of them, emotional, physical, what's the other one I'm losing? It's escaping my mind right now. There's 3, emotional, physical, and there's a third one. I'll think about it. But going through all those emotions that have affected me at one point in my journey, I can sit here and tell you that it was the best decision that I did when I did decide to break free from my limiting beliefs. So the first question you want to ask yourself, is it true? Whatever it is that your limiting belief is right now, is it absolutely true? For example, I'll use an example of communication. Communication for me is a big one. Because I speak Spanish and because I speak English, sometimes the words, I kind of mix them up with like Spanish and English. Here where I'm from, we have a lot of Spanglish, like it's an actual thing. It's funny because I was meeting with some of my clients and the husband and wife were exactly the same. They're like, you know, la cosa esa, how do you say it, honey? And it's so funny just because, again, the culture over here. So I have some limiting beliefs around communication. And sometimes I feel like my communication could be better. And when I did this exercise, I had to really ask myself, like, is this true? And the reality is that when I ask this question, is it true? The answer is no, it's not true. Because when I go into the second point, which is get leverage, what do you feel or experience and become when you think about this thought? So for example, let's say you have emotions of uncertainty and this restriction on your chest and you just feel very overwhelmed. Now you're getting leverage, right? Because you understand that this is not something that is in alignment with your highest vibration. So now you ask yourself, is it true? Now you're gaining leverage. Now you're going to get into step number 3, which is annihilating this limiting belief. So an example for me was, how can I debunk that belief? How can I debunk the fact that that is not true? You want to ask yourself, like, do I like not know how to communicate at all? Like, is that really true? And when I really sit down and think about it, I've had so many people that have told me, Alexa, you're a great communicator. I love the way that you explain things. I love your energy. I love your smile. I like how you say certain things and you have your little energy and you have your little misspelled words, but it's you, girl. Like, I like that. And I know that for me, at least, whenever I hear feedback like that, it pushes me to continue to learn more. It pushes me to continue to, for example, I recently invested in a new coaching program, which is with the communication coach. This is why I believe in coaches. Like, if you're in a journey of becoming a better you, find a coach that's doing the thing that you want to do. For example, when I coach my girls, I always try to find out where they're at, right? If they're above in the journey that I'm in, like, I'm not really the best fit for you. But if they're in a situation where they're like, Alexa, I've never made my first 6 figures. I never purchased my first house, or maybe I have, but I feel very overwhelmed and I feel very burnt out. I got you. Like, these are the things that I've been through, right? But if you were to tell me, hey, Alexa, can you coach me on being the best communicator? I'd say like, yeah, no, I'm good. You know, you should find this other coach and he's going to be amazing for you. But investing in these things that really help you, this is where you annihilate those beliefs. This is where you really get rid of these things that are holding you back. Now, the next 3 steps that you want to say to yourself is, what is the opposite of what the limiting belief sounds like? So in this case, I'm not a good communicator. Okay, well, let's flip it. I am a great communicator, because when I make my TikTok videos, I get all this support from people that tell me, Alexa, your videos are inspiring me and motivating me, and thank you so much, right? So fill in the blank for you. The second is replace the they, the he, the she with I, and now tie in 3 examples that prove the opposite. So like I mentioned, for me, I've tied in the fact that people on my videos tell me that I am a great communicator. I've had my coaching clients tell me, Alexa, I love the way that you explain things. And I've had people in person whenever I've had like my Toastmasters meetings that tell me, Alexa, we're voting for you as table topics because you did amazing. These are the things that you want to start remembering, because here's the thing. Just like we surround ourselves with the toxic people, and when we go around them and we tell them our dreams and our aspirations, when we're the person that's keeping this toxicity within us, and we're continuously telling ourselves these things, what's happening is that you're always thinking about the negative. You see, realistically, we are always remembering the bad. Like, think about it. If I were to ask you right now, what's the one thing that you're like dreading in your life right now? You can think about it like that. Oh, you know what? I need more money. Oh, you know what? It's because I haven't had a vacation in a long time. Oh, well, it's because my husband or my wife, whatever the case is. But then if I ask you, what was the last time that really brought you joy? Like, I know for me, I have to sit there and think about it sometimes. And that's why I've practiced gratitude every single morning and every single night. And especially throughout the day, sometimes when like there's a lot of traffic, I'm like, thank you, God, for the fact that I have a car. These things have such an impact in your life, because now you're taking something that you're always focusing on, which is lack, what you're missing, to now what you have. And this is really where you start creating this new reality for you. I'm telling you, when you do this, this is going to be game changer for you, because you're no longer on autopilot. You're no longer just surviving. Now you're really taking ownership of your life. You're taking ownership of who you have around you. You're taking ownership of what you consume. And I'm not just talking about food. I am talking about, what are you watching on TV? Are you watching a bunch of scary movies every single Saturday and Sunday? Or are you actually picking up a book? Are you going for a jog? Are you going to maybe a networking event to connect with people because you feel very anxious every time you're around people? These are the micro shifts in your life that are going to impact you for the rest of your life. And if there's anything you take from this conversation today, let it be that. Your environment plays such a huge impact. And I know some of you, I don't know why this came to me, but I'm going to say it. Some of you might be like, Alexa, I have to live with my mom right now, or I have to live with my dad right now, or I have to stay with my husband because I have no money. Then start working on yourself so that you can get yourself out of there. Because I am telling you, the only power you're going to hold is the one that you are giving to yourself. This is why personal development is so important. This is why I'm so passionate about teaching women to really create a life of abundance. Like my last course that I created, I called it Business Meets Manifestation, because I really wanted to help you create a system that helps you with internal healing, but also helps you when it comes to understanding how to build a business, how to build a low ticket offer that can start bringing in clients while you're asleep. Because until you free yourself and until you let go of the belief that you need to be in that environment in order for you to get by, you're going to be stuck, and you're not going to feel like you're moving forward because you're around the wrong people. So with that, I hope this video was helpful. If you have any comments, any feedback, feel free to leave them down below. Or if you're listening to this on Spotify or Apple, feel free to send us an email. I would love to hear from you guys. As you know, I've been going at it for the podcast since 2023, and I love every single moment of this. We recently had our first guest, which I was super excited about, and I want to continue to bring more people to you guys so that, just like me, How I learn is by seeing other people, seeing what they're doing, and absorbing that information. I want to do the same for you guys. And that is my mission in life. I want to just continue to become a better version of me so that I can continue to share as much knowledge as I possibly can with those that are in the similar journey that I've been in, and continue to grow with one another. So with that, I love you. If nobody has told you that, remember, you are loved, you are worthy, and you are absolutely capable of creating the life of your dreams. I will talk to you guys on the next one.